Hello, and thank you for watching this first video, hopefully a series of several short videos. This is an introduction to why I'm guided to do the Mrs. Doyle, Father Ted from the sitcom TV series that was shown for a number of years in Ireland. The series was very much about a rural community on the west coast of Ireland, where in the parish house lived three priests. One was Father Jack, who was very fond of the bottle. He was going confused, and he had a vile, filthy tongue. Then, of course, there was Father Ted and the curate. But the housekeeper she was just an amazing caricature. Her name was Mrs. Doyle. There is such an innocence in the banter, and there's lots of laughter and humour in that series. And my nickname happens to be Father Ted, but on a bad day, my GP in the surgery usually says, "Are you Father Ted or Father Jack today, Brother Sean?" The reason for this short series is to break away from the more formal seminars, talks on spirituality, and to try and bring a bit of humour, because life is so serious today. And I can understand why Jesus resorted to using parables, because in his day, many had no access, of course, to internet, to CD players, iPhones and mobiles, so he used the medium of the day, storytelling. And I'm familiar with that, because as a little boy growing up at my grandmother's in Dublin, we didn't do the television. We would have storytelling from my late Uncle Frank and my grandmother's son, Uncle Jim. And we would sit around the coal fire and we would be aching with laughter from their childhood years. So I want you to try and picture, if you could, a small rural community in the west of Ireland. It's bleak, very bleak in winter. And the hamlets, the farms are all sporadic all over the beautiful mountains of Connemara. It's remote, it's desolate, it's wild, it's beautiful. But the people speak with a different accent. It's a real Irish accent. But there's an innocence and a naivety. And bless them, in that time, they had such a trust for God and a respect for their church. And priests were almost like demigods. And if you were to see a nun, you'd run a mile. Because as a little boy growing up in Dublin, we were educated by the Christian Brothers. And across the road was the Irish Sisters of Charity. And they used to say, for Jesus' sake, don't be seen near one of them nuns, because they've got pockets under their skirts. And they put bold boys like you. And when they come over a grid, meaning a drain of some sort, they have magical powers. And the metal lid lifts and the little naughty boys are dumped. I mean, what a horrible thought. So I grew up with that, thinking, my God, because if you looked at the nuns in those days, they were all quietly rotund, weren't they? They may have been slim, but they had layers and layers of fabric underneath. Well, I wasn't going to work that one out for myself, so I never gave them the benefit of the doubt. Our short series, I hope, will resonate with your heart. I pray that there will be something in each one for you. And I hope I won't offend you. by the banter and by using the Lord's name in vain, which is not my intention. But in Ireland, instead of saying Jesus, they say, "Ah, Jesus, ah, Jesus." It's a term of endearment rather than an offensive word. So let us look at what is the series going to be. Well, in video 1, we're going to take a short look at Mrs. Doyle's confession. In 2, we look at her crisis of belief. 3, she's got an inner hankering to become a nun. In 4, she becomes aware of interface and panics. Number 5, taking the plunge. And video 6, no turning back. And finally, the conclusion, all or nothing. So let us see what the divine can do for all of us, and how the divine can combine humor with common sense and bring everything back to the heart where it should be. Cut out all the academic nonsense and try and visualize a loving God who's a friend, not an enemy. So let's go and get the voices prepared for video 2. Thank you for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed the series.